What's up guys, Dzeeff here, and we are at YCS Pasadena, and while I did not top the main event, I learned something kind of interesting on Saturday about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day event that was running. So the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day event is a thing that I usually do at locals. They're running a couple of tournaments here, and if you win the thing, it's like a win-a-mat, you get the main mat, but they also were giving away mouse pads. The thing about the mouse pads was that it wasn't necessarily going to the second place person, it was going to the highest placing person with 10 or more Mystic Fighter cards in their deck. And I figured, because Mystic Fighters isn't that great of a set, I mean, it's cool, I guess, casually, but if you're entering that event, you're probably not going to have a Mystic Fighter type strategy. You're not going to be playing Dragon Maids or Mathmechs. I figured it'd be pretty easy just to put exactly 10 in my deck, and I was pretty sure that if I could be the furthest ranking person with 10 Mystic Fighter cards. So I played, and I was looking through the entire set, and I was like, I don't just want to play like a bunch of main deck bad cards. I don't just want to waste a bunch of spots. One of the spots where Altergeists has a lot of room, or at least it has like 7 spots, is the extra deck. So I played Mathmech Altergeists, and what's funny though is that you can actually summon these cards. So I'll show the extra deck first. I don't usually do this, I hate when people do it, but so the Mathmechs we were playing were 3 of this one and 3 of this one, and then we had to play a 7th card, so we played this card that doesn't matter at all. These cards are actually pretty cool though. So the whole goal, so you can see here we have 7 of the Mystic Fighter cards. The other 3 are 3 Waking the Dragon. These were reprinted in Mystic Fighters. So these are our 10 Mystic Fighter cards, and we got 2nd place, so we got the mat here, the mouse pad I should say. But these cards are actually kind of cool. So this one, the 3000 attack one, while it's in the extra monster zone, it's unaffected by card effects besides Mathmechs, which no one plays those cards, so it's unaffected by card effects. And then also it does double battle damage, which is really crazy. And then this one, when it attacks something, I believe, let's see. Yeah, when it destroys a monster by battle, you get to target 2 monsters and just blow them up. So like that's insane. So both these cards are like legitimately not that terrible when you summon them off of the Waking the Dragon. Obviously you probably wouldn't play these cards like a real tournament, but if I was playing Waking the Dragon, I would honestly consider playing like 1 copy of this, just because the double damage thing is like really cool. This one maybe not so much, but these cards aren't even that terrible, but they were the best cards that I could play from Mystic Fighters. And then because I had I got 2nd, but because I had 10 of these, I was able to get the mouse pad here, which is pretty cool. So those were the, I'll go through those when we go through the actual extra deck really, later on, but those were the Mystic Fighter cards we played, so we could guarantee that we got the mat here. So I didn't want a situation where I got like 2nd, but the 3rd place guy had like 11 Mystic Fighter cards, so I wanted to make sure I had I got as far as possible. So for the main deck is exact same from the main event. We're kind of doing like a double profile here. So this is the main event and the side event. I'll kind of talk about the differences. So we had 3 Marionetter, 3 copies of Muleseek, 2 copies of Silk. I drew this card like more this tournament than I ever have in my entire life, and it really sucked. There was one of the matches that I lost. I opened one of this, an Extravagance, and I Extravagance into the 2nd copy of the Extravagance and a 2nd copy of the Silk. I normal summoned the Silk, he unicorned it back into my deck, I shuffled my deck, I cut the deck, and then I drew it for turn, so that really sucks. So this card was in my hand like more often than not. It was crazy. That's just like the Altergeist thing, I don't know, but I drew that card a lot. And then we have 1 Multi-Figure, which you never draw, and 1 Concrete to block those attacks. No Sanguine in this list, because that card is really bad. But maybe I should play it, because maybe I needed it for the moral support. For the hand traps, just 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, just the best generic hand trap right now, obviously. And then 3 Extravagance, 2 Duality, especially because you're not playing the Sanguine. This card never conflicts with anything. Both these cards are insane. I drew Extravagance off Extravagance a lot this tournament, and it's like really bad to do that, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, obviously you're going to play 3 copies. I will answer the question here, as people ask me like, what do I replace Extravagance with if I don't own copies? Because I get that it's an expensive card. I don't know what to tell you. There really isn't like a good replacement. Like, the Spellbook Engine is fine when it takes your normal summon. 3rd Duality is fine when it bricks. Sanguine is fine when it sucks. So it's like, I don't know. If you're playing at locals or regional, you can probably get away with not playing Extravagance, but if you're really trying to play Altergeists and take them seriously, you unfortunately do kind of need that card. So I just want to answer that question because people have been asking. For the traps, have 3 copies of Spoofing, 2 copies of Protocol, 1 copy of Manifestation, the standard lineup there. For the Solemns, we cut it to 6, so we have 3 Judgment and 3 Strike. No warning or whatever, just because it was really bad going 2nd. And then these will be ultis in a couple weeks here, December 5th or whatever, when OTS 12 comes out, so that'll be pretty cool. Then we have 3 copies of Impermanence, never opened Faker Impermanence if anyone's keeping track. 3 copies of Compulse, still the best trap card by far, but that isn't a solemn card. Good going first, good going second. Put the Galatea in the extra deck. It's just super versatile. You can bounce your own stuff back. I did that a lot. You can like do some weird plays for like you bounce your Faker back, trigger the Faker. You can do a play where like you Faker out a Marionetter and then you Compulse the Marionetter back to your hand and then normal summon it to set a trap card. Compulse is just like the best trap card right now, so I like it a lot. And then we have 2 copies of Lost Wind. Pretty versatile trap card, not a 3 of, but each one of these kind of counts as 2 copies, so it's kind of like 4 copies because it just sets itself. Getting over big monsters is really good. You can do some pretty funny stuff because you can do it during the damage step. And then negate the effects, like gets over Colossus. And then, so I should mention here that I did I'll make a video about it, but I did the coaching thing that like Jesse and Asala and Bowden and all those guys are doing. So a couple of these things I'd like to shout out. Asala gave me the idea for because he was my coach. So the last card in the deck was 2 copies of Evenly Matched. This was his idea. When you look at the trap cards, every single trap card in the entire deck, except for what these 2 cards were, are good going first or second. So all of these and obviously the Altergeists cards. So you're always going to win when you go first, hopefully, if you draw playable. So that meant that these last 2 trap cards, you can either play Order and Warning, which are only good going first, or you can play Evenlies, which are only good going second. And he kind of explained that, like, to him at least, with this deck, the deck's so powerful going first that you should just play like a blowout card for going second, because that's when you need like high variance, because the deck isn't that good going second. I mean, it's okay going second, but if they open like crazy, and like the Danger Thunder deck, I think that got a couple tops. They don't end on any way to negate Evenly Matched, so you can just take out everything, because they end on like Erratic Seal and Appaloosa and Colossus and Harbinger, so you can just evenly the entire board. But Evenly was really, really good. Like, it's super overperformed, and it's a weird card because it can never like become standard in this deck list, because then people will start playing around it. They'll start like making sure they set the crescendo, but because a lot of people were doing like the IP play, not the crescendo play this tournament, and the Evenly Match just like rips apart that play, so it's really, really good. But Evenly Match was like insane. That was definitely a really good piece of advice from Asala. I did not come up with that. I played it like back in Chicago like a year ago, but I haven't thought about it for a while, but it was really, really good. So shout out to the coaching for that. That was it for the main deck. So for the extra deck, so the 8 real cards are 3 copies of Hexia, 3 copies of Link Rebo, and 2 Prime Banshee. I will mention that during the regular tournament, I've started summoning this card in like every single combo. I know I posted that combo video when I talked about the Link 4 monster, but Prime Banshee's like nuts, almost to the point where I would play like 3 copies. Basically, like you just try to like make Hexia, and then make a Prime Banshee with the Hexia to trigger the Hexia, and then you make a second Hexia with the Prime Banshee to add the Faker back to your hand. I was doing some just insane combos that I just have not thought of before this tournament with the Prime Banshee this tournament. So yeah, this card is definitely like, I can't believe a lot of people just don't even play this card, they play like 1, but it's, my eyes have been open to how good Prime Banshee is. Like, it is just insane, and I wish I would have like thought of those combos sooner, because I think that they don't matter like a lot, but I think in certain situations when like your opponent has a lot of cards to push through your ending board that you do, having the extra card in hand is like huge. So Prime Banshee is like 10 out of 10. That card's insane. I'm sorry for making fun of it for a long time. And then for the last cards here, the 3 Mathmechs, the other 3 Mathmechs, these look like the same card but they're different. And then 1 House Dragon Maid. Yeah, like you shouldn't play these cards like unless you're in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Day event where you need to play Mystic Fighter cards. But honestly, like out of all the Mystic Fighter cards that I could play in this deck, these are by far the best ones. Maybe there's something I could have played over House Dragon Maid, but I didn't have any of the supers on me. I had to buy the Waking the Dragons. So maybe there's like another extra deck monster that you can play that's like better. But these 6 are like actually, unironically, some of the best Mystic Fighter cards that you can play in an Altergeist deck for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Day to get a mouse pad. For the side deck, oh, if you guys really want to know what these cards were, it was 3 Almirage, 1 Kidolga, 1 Avermax, 1 Phoenix, 1 Cerberus. That was it for the main deck, or for the main event, I should say. That doesn't really matter though. And then for the side deck, we have 3 copies of Lancia. Really, really good card. Another card, huge shout out to Asala. Ghost Ogre. This card was insane. It solved almost every single problem that I had with the format, so there's a lot of cards you can hit with this. The biggest problem I was having was how to beat the IP Masquerade setup, because they can just Trisbania and banish all your back row and you can do nothing about it. Like, you literally can't respond. It sucks, because your deck's like so slow. Ghost Ogre, you can, when they activate the IP effect, you can Ogre, and then not only does it cut them off from summoning playing the Trispania, but because the IP doesn't resolve, so they're stuck with the symbol skeleton on the field, and they can't bring back the Dingirsu. So with one Ogre, they go through their whole combo, they end on the thing that's going to banish all your back row if they're a smart player, and then you just Ogre it, and it ends it immediately. It's insane. But there's like a bunch of other cool stuff you can do with Ogre. You can Ogre, if you like activated a monster effect in the Appaloosa, you can Ogre the Appaloosa, and the Appaloosa, it needs to lose the attack points to actually negate the monster effect, and it can't lose attack points if it's not on the field. What else? There's like a lot of really random rogue applications for Ogre, which was really cool because the card it was DD Crow, which is like only good against Lunalite Orcus. Oh, you can Ogre the Elder Entity Nyarla or whatever in Lunalite Orcus. That just stops their turn a lot of the time because it's not, they like use the detach effect and you just Ogre it, so they don't get the Martin Surge, and they don't get they have the green one on it, they don't get that effect either. So Ogre was insane. Once again, huge shout out to Asala. I like Evenly Match was at least a card that I like considered playing, maybe not in the main deck, but like Ogre didn't even consider for a second, and it turned to be like one of the best side deck cards. So that coaching, like really super valuable, was really helpful. And then I didn't own a third copy of Ulti Ogre, so I played one DD Crow. It was fine though. Like I don't know if you really want like 3 of a hard once per turn in your. I mean, like Lancia obviously is really good, but this lineup was fine. But yeah, I guess I would have considered playing the third Ogre if I had a third Ulti. But DD Crow's like it's all right. It's all right in certain matchups, but like opening Ogre DD Crow is better than opening double Ogre. But this Ogre was just like I can't praise this card enough. Like Asala is just like a genius. I don't know if he came up with it or if he was talking with people, but it was the best suggestion. It fixed so many of my problems. Also really strong against Pendulums, which is like one of this deck's like worst matchups. You can Ogre the Endymion Scale effect, I think, and you can definitely Ogre the Servant effect. Is Endymion activate in the scale? Okay. Yeah. Endymion activates in the scale. Sorry, I didn't play against Pendulums this weekend with Ogre, but that was like one of the worst matches for this deck, and you can Ogre those cards. That's really solid. And then I played 3 Heavy Stormduster, insanely powerful card in the back row matchups. And then I played the third Evenly match for going second, and then because we were maining 2 Evenlies, we were siding the warning in the order. So when you go first, really easy, like you know you're taking out the Evenlies, you know you're putting in these 2 cards. And like I said, like I'm not saying it's like perfect to play the Evenlies all the time. It's kind of format dependent, but for this particular event, you know, a lot of decks are only ending on like 1 negation, or like the Orcus players, they're not even ending on like negations, they're ending on like the IP and not the crescendo anymore, so you can just like evenly the whole board and just like turns off their entire play, which is insane. So I'm not saying like, if you're gonna get lucky a lot and win a lot of die rolls, like yeah, you want these cards in your main deck because like they're good going first and they're blowouts, but if you're not gonna win a lot of die rolls and you don't want to just like leave it up to chance, I think it's fair. Like there were games when I drew like evenly going first in game 1, and it just didn't matter because the deck's so strong going first. Like you don't need, like especially if you draw like any playable hand, like losing that 1 negate doesn't matter because like a lot of times you don't even need to use all of your trap cards to stop your opponent's play, but it gives you like the opportunity to just have like a huge blowout game 1. No one sees it coming. It's really solid, so I like the card a lot. And then the last 3 cards in the side event were 3 Waking the Dragon. It's good. This card will probably be really good when Lightning Storm comes out, and then I'll like actually play it for real. But I was playing it just to be able to like, I wanted to like actually like, I know I could have just played like anything from Mystic Fighter from here. This card sucks, but anything from Mystic Fighters or whatever. But I like actually wanted to play like cards that you could like use and weren't just complete garbage. And when I looked through the whole set, I was like, yeah, Wake the Dragon's pretty cool. And then I read these cards and I was like, oh, these cards are actually like pretty cool. So this was like not even that terrible. Like there were way worse things that I could have played. In the main event, these were summon limits. Just because like they're a really good floodgate going first. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Summon Limit, but it's whatever. But for this event and this side event, like Waking the Dragon and these Mathmechs were like by far the best choices. But yeah, that's my Yu-Gi-Oh! Day second place deck profile. I just thought it was kind of funny because I heard that Mystic Fighter thing and I was like, dang, how am I ever gonna find 10 Mystic Fighter cards to put in my deck? But because Altergeists don't need the extra deck very much, you can actually afford to put in like 7 extra deck cards that like most decks would not have the space in their main extra inside. So you just put like 10 sort of blank cards they didn't want to play, but Altergeists can, so I thought it was kind of cool. And that ended up working out because I didn't win the whole tournament. I just got second place, but because I had Mystic Fighter cards, I was able to get this not a mat, like the mouse pad or whatever. But yeah, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the profile, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.